Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Almost done with week 4. Can't believe it. Time has just flown by. So I chose option number 1, which is the cognitive distortions. Um, so in the video clip that we saw, Helen is having a therapy session um, with her counselor, and she's talking about how she was thinking of going to like a playwriting class, but she's having these like certain thoughts about whether or not to do it. So question number 1 says, which cognitive distortions are evident in Helen's thoughts? Um, I thought definitely like catastrophizing when she's like, will he be more resentful? Like she's already imagining the worst. Um, and then I also thought about her mental filter where she's just like is focusing on one negative detail. Like she's not thinking anything past when she's like, oh, like I already have a master, so taking a playwriting class on the weekend would be dumb. And then definitely mind reading. Like she is already thinking about what others are going to say about her, um, what her husband's going to say about her. Um, and then how does the therapist respond to them? Um, she expects a client to take responsibility for their experience. She has her go over the list of automatic thoughts and walks her through what the client thinks is going on. So she asks her, like, which of these, automatic thoughts, like, do you think it is? So then she says herself, like, well, I think I'm catastrophizing, I'm mind reading, and then the therapist kind of echoes back to her like, yes, it sounds a little bit of like um catastrophizing, mind reading, um so she could understand the impact of these thoughts she's having. When I think about what are some frequent cognitive distortions I've seen in my work with students and or teachers, um, I've seen examples of like mind reading. When it comes to kids, like they just assume that they know what somebody else is thinking. Um, Definitely also seen examples of catastrophizing, um, where kids just immediately go to like the worst case scenario, um, and their behavior kind of reflects that. Um, I've also seen that with like teachers where like, something goes wrong or like there's like a sudden change and they're not okay with it. Their mind immediately goes to like the worst possible case scenario. Um, I think the one I've seen most often with kids is the all or nothing thinking that they have to be either super amazing at everything or they're just not even going to try. Like it's just, they don't think they're worth it. Like they don't think anything that they can do is correct. Um, and I think with teachers, I've also seen like discounting the positive where they focus so much on the negative aspects of things instead of thinking like, well, like when we're looking at data, like they're just be like, oh, like my class did horrible on this, instead of saying like, well, they did horrible on this, but they did pretty good on these other things. Um, and when I think about what consequences that these distortions have, I think that they affect the overall attitude of students towards school. Um, I've taught third before, I've taught first and now kinder. And, when kids have negative experiences about school, it really just kind of sets them up to have this certain view of school. And I think when they get so caught up in these cognitive distortions, um, it could really change their attitude and, not want to go to school, not want to be there, not want to do anything. Uh, And when I think about how these can affect teachers, is that it can lead to lack of opportunities, um, not wanting to go the extra mile or feeling like they just aren't good enough to take on other roles. And I think it also contributes to low morale for teachers, um, especially when it comes to like discounting the positive. In terms of using a cognitive approach, if I give an example, oh, it says give an example of how you would deal with a student who is failing. Sorry. Um, when I think about, oh, sorry. According to A.T. Beck and Weishar, the goals of cognitive theory are to identify and change faulty information processing to modify beliefs that support psychological dysfunction to ones that are more adaptive. So I think what that means is that when a student is failing, they might lean into cognitive distortions such as like catastrophizing and tunnel vision. And so I think that I would probably use like a questioning technique to try to get them to open up and really think about, well, why is it that they're failing? Like, what is hard about the class? Are there other ways that you can be supported? Like, can we look into that? So I think I'd also like to work with the student to develop problem solving strategies, so that we can kind of take this moment of failure at the time and see that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, just because they're failing this one class, that doesn't mean that it's the end of the world or, that they are just not good at anything. We can kind of try to change, like reframe their thinking and try to get them to see how they don't have to resort to thinking the worst case scenario, like, oh, because I'm failing this class, that's it. Like, I'm done. I'm never going to graduate, or I'm never going to go on to the next grade, kind of thing. And so when I think about how it would look different for a student who is anxious or depressed, I think it would look different because someone who is anxious or depressed, their cognitive distortions may be a reflection of their core beliefs. So it might not just be something that they feel in the moment. Like, for example, the failing student, like they might not have any type of cognitive distortions until they realize that they're failing. And so they would be more situational. But for someone who is, diagnosed with like anxiety or depression, I think sometimes those cognitive distortions really stem from them thinking about their core beliefs. So I think that's how it would be different. So that's all I have to share, and I can't wait to watch the rest of y'all's videos. Thanks.